people that are watching as well. So hello, everybody. Oh, I almost knocked over my glass of water. So we are here live, me and Casey Edward, and we are going to be talking about 3 energetic shifts you can make to live in alignment. Alignment is one of my very, very favorite topics. I love talking about it, and I love talking to Casey about it. We can honestly, Casey and I, jam on this subject probably forever because everything relates to alignment in some way or another.
Yep, true.
So this here with me is Casey Edward. Casey is a mindset coach, a yoga teacher, and she's also a host of a podcast called I Can't Wait to Tell You. I was connected with Casey, I don't know, like probably over a year ago now, and I just enjoy our regular kind of high vibe conversation catch-ups, and she really is the perfect person to talk to you all today about living in alignment. So, Casey, I want to hear what was your awakening journey? Obviously, you probably did not know what alignment was going back kind of 5-10 years ago. So how did you kind of make this shift in becoming a mindset coach and kind of working with the principle or the law of alignment?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Megan. Hello, everyone. My spiritual awakening journey, this in itself could be a full episode, but so where my journey started was for most of my adult life, had just debilitating anxiety, like the kind where I would have to mentally prepare myself to go into a coffee shop to order. Like, okay, I know what I'm going to order. I have my money ready to get my coffee. Like it'll be smooth, like this whole thing. And eventually one day it got to the point where I just felt it crippling me. And I was like, what can I do? I worked out and I was healthy and I liked my job, but I knew that something had to change. So I started a meditation practice. And from there, everything started to shift. So I only meditated for about 5 minutes a day in the beginning, but something inside of me was like, ooh, keep doing this. And I will never forget the first time that I ever heard what I now know to be my intuition was speaking to me. I was standing in the kitchen. I was like, what am I supposed to do with my life? What is the next step? I was just feeling confused. And I heard something just say yoga teacher training. And I was kind of like, what? And who said that? And I didn't do yoga at the time, really. I just knew that felt right. And so before I knew it, I was signing up for not only a yoga teacher training, but a simultaneous life coach training. And through learning about the mind and the mindset, and it kind of gave me an opening to what quantum physics is like and moving my body in the yogic way over and over and over, I started to be like, there is so much more than the 9 to 5 and making money and just getting by. And that's when I just started to learn about how the world works, that we are energy, we're not matter, we are energetic beings, and our outer reality is a direct reflection of our inner reality. So whatever is going on for you, you created. So once I learned that, I was like, oh, I have some work to do. So it's just an ongoing process from there.
Yeah, that's like the most powerful realization I think that anybody can have.
Yeah.
Create your reality. And I know for a long time myself, I was like completely unconscious to that fact, or just completely unconscious to begin with. I didn't know that I had any separation between my thoughts and, my soul. And that first realization, and then the realization that we create our reality through how we think, through how we feel, was just so powerful. So how do you define like alignment? Can you define alignment to all of our listeners?
I was thinking about this a lot today as I was walking through nature in alignment. And the first word that comes to mind when I think about alignment is ease. So often we're forcing things and we're taking action from an ego or our thoughts, but living in alignment is living in correspondence with who you truly are. So what feels easy, what feels fluid, what feels right, what feels fun. And it's so much less about what you should be doing and being productive and doing things as fast as you can so that you can optimize how much you get done. And so much more about being present and knowing that every vibration you're putting out is serving not only you, but the greater good. So that was kind of a long-winded answer, but
Yeah, I mean, say like every vibration that you're putting out there, can you expand on what that means?
Yeah. So when I said that we are energetic beings, we actually all have a force field. Every thought that we think has magnetism and has energy, and every feeling we feel, like you've all heard, when you walk into a room, you can feel the vibe. It's either you walk in, you're like, ooh, this is fun. This is exciting. It's buzzing. Or you walk in, you're like, ooh, what is going on in this room? Same with people. The moment you walk into being in someone's vibe or circle, you immediately know, ooh, I want to be around this person more. I kind of want to talk to them. Or you're kind of like, I'm going to step away, because we're all putting out an energetic field. So once you become aware that you are not your thoughts, like you said, and you can change them, which helps you change how you feel, which changes everything, how you act, how you think, how you speak, what you're putting into the world, then you are changing your vibration, and you're changing the vibration of everyone around you and everything. So it's really about awareness, and also discipline, in a way, an ego discipline. So it's kind of just recognizing the thoughts that you think. And if you are feeling bad, you know that the thoughts you're thinking aren't good thoughts. Our feelings are essentially a barometer to check in with if we're in alignment or not. If I'm feeling very horrible, it's because I'm not in alignment with my soul and my truest self. If I am in alignment, I feel joyous, I feel abundance, I feel gratitude. And you just check in with that barometer, and then you check your thoughts from there.
Yeah. So is it just that easy? Like if I'm like feeling, like I'm in a bad mood, or if I'm feeling angry about something, or if I've just got like just some unsettled feeling or resistance in my body, is it just as easy as like reaching for a better thought to get into alignment? Like what are some kind of tools? And I know we'll get into the 3 energetic shifts later, but if people are noticing that they're out of alignment, what are some ways? Like, is it just thinking a positive thought, or how do we raise our vibration?
I'm really glad if you asked if it was easy, because no, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I say it in light conversation, but changing who you are essentially is going to be the hardest thing you ever do, because every day we think 95% of the same thoughts we thought the day before. 95% out of the 70,000-ish we're thinking a day, you are just thinking the same thing every day. So when you start to try to change your thoughts, your brain is going to say, no. I want to be comfortable. I want to be safe. I want to keep thinking the same thing. So does the body. That's the ego's job, is to keep us safe. So there will be this cognitive dissonance. But to answer your second question, yes, it's just reaching for a better feeling thought. So the example, an example I give always is, if you're feeling really horrible. So on days where I'm feeling really depressed and really anxious and just feeling horrible, I'm not going to start thinking, I am abundant, I'm a millionaire, I can do whatever I want, life is so great. You kind of have to ease into it. Like your brain will be like, error, that's not true. So when I know for myself, for example, if I'm feeling really bad, really low on the scale of emotions, I will do something physical, like move my body. I have to get out of my head by doing yoga or moving. I can't sit down and meditate or just try to think my way out of it. But from there, when I'm feeling a little bit better, then I'll think something a little bit better, like, okay, everything's okay, which is always true. Everything's okay. You don't have to go crazy and say all of these, like everything is amazing and my life is abundant and perfect, but just say all is well. I am living. My heart is beating. Those things in themselves can just pick you up even a little bit, and then you can move up from there. And some days maybe all is well is the best that you'll do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's like climbing up that like emotional scale. Like you can't go from like a 1 to a 10, but you can go from a 1 to a 2 and a 2 to a 3.
mm-hmm.
And I have a good example of this that actually happened today. So typically when I wake up, like I can often reach for those higher vibration thoughts and feelings. Mm-hmm. But this morning I'd say I woke up probably like a 3. Like I just was a bit on edge, like just was feeling a little bit blah. I'm learning now to just allow myself to be like that, instead of like judging, like, oh, why aren't you high vibe? Like you're feeling better. What's going on? So I just kind of sat with that, went for a run, was trying to, like you said, like moving your body is a great way to just circulate that energy and lift the vibe naturally. But even on the run, like I was kind of like reaching for these thoughts to make myself feel better. And in that process, like efforting and then resistance was coming up. So it was kind of having like a counter effect. But then I just started thinking, it's my 10-year anniversary with my husband next week. And I totally just started thinking about, when we met and we're going to Vegas next week for our anniversary. And I started thinking, how fun that's going to be. And that's where we were 10 years ago for our bachelor and bachelorette party, and just remembering that experience. And by the end of the run, I was feeling amazing, like totally just distracting myself from, the thoughts that, oh God, I should be feeling better than this, or, these affirmations aren't working. I just totally put my mind and my attention on these good feeling thoughts and, excited kind of future plans. And yeah, it worked. It did the trick. So yeah, I think sometimes just reaching for what's available to us and then distracting ourselves with what's going to feel better.
Yeah. And you and I both are big fans of Abraham Hicks, and anyone listening, if they do or don't know, is a spiritual teacher, I'll just say to simplify, but they say that you have about 17 seconds of a thought before it comes in actual energetic vibration. So if you can just focus on something even remotely good, like I always tell people, think of a puppy, or if you don't like dogs, think of a kitten, just for 17 seconds, and you will feel a little bit better. So it doesn't have to be, it's just like you said, you just go off onto this little path just for a short amount of time, and then bam, opens the floodgates for everything else to just start going in the momentum the other way.
Yeah. Distraction is the best. Like we can probably all relate to times where we've been really fixated on, trying to make something happen or trying to feel a certain way. And then we just go and, go for a hike or go and dancing with girlfriends or cooking a nice meal. And then everything just flows, like everything just falls into place. And it's really removing ourselves from that vibration of resistance and getting into the receiving mode. And that's where the magic happens, people. So even though our mind likes to tell us what we need to do to achieve something, that's not the path of our soul. That's not the way of alignment. It's often releasing, surrendering, allowing, and yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
So let's move into the 3 energetic shifts that we can make to live in alignment. So these are kind of 3 things that we can do, that we can start implementing in our life right now to move from a place out of alignmentness, which can just be, just not in harmony with our higher self or our soul alignment, into a place of being aligned with our inner being, our soul, our higher self. So what are the shifts? Let's start with number 1.
Okay. 1, by far, meditation. It is just, in terms of energy, in terms of brainwaves, in terms of everything, being able to quiet your mind and be the observer of thoughts and then be the creator of your thoughts is the most crucial thing we can do. And in terms of brainwaves, without getting really into them, we're also jacked up on caffeine and go, and we're in these really high brainwaves. And our intuitions in the universe are way down here in like the chill and the reading, when you're driving home and you're kind of just in the zone and you're listening to music, that's where the inner voice can be heard. That's when we're really connected, but we're so up here all of the time. We go to bed kind of stressed out, thinking of our to-do list. We wake up, we have coffee. I've been there, like that used to be me to a T, but meditating can bring us back down. And then when we can start to just quiet our minds and be the creator of our reality instead of consistently observing our reality. So this helps to be in alignment because we decide what we want. So if I know what my reality is, I can create it by thinking about it, by feeling it. So often we're just observing what is. So let's use money for an example. Say I had $2 in my bank account and I consistently am focusing on lack, how I don't have enough, how I'm scared, I'll never have enough, I didn't have enough as a child. I am observing what is and therefore perpetuating what is. But if I could just say, wow, $2 is amazing. It could buy me a seltzer water. It could buy me a pack of gum. It could buy me a banana. It could buy me 2 bananas. It is enough. I have enough. I'll always have enough. I am worthy of enough. And that's the creation that will happen from being able to just decide what your thoughts are going to be. And don't get me wrong. Again, I'm making this sound very easy. But the more you meditate and quiet your mind, the easier it is throughout the day to discern, is this thought serving me or is it not? So when I'm going through the day. And then even before this, I start to get like a little excited, which often can get confused as anxiety for me because they feel very similar. And I said, okay, what will make me feel aligned right now? And I was like, I'm going to go get a Pellegrino. I love going for drives. They make me feel great. I'm going to get a seltzer water I love. And it's just quieting down and slowing down and getting to know yourself. One of the definitions, the Tibetan definitions of meditation, is to get to know. And how are you supposed to change your life if you don't know yourself? So meditation is the best place to start, to get rid of everything you don't need, to start bringing in what you do need, and to just quiet down and simplify. So that's hands down my first one.
Yeah. And it's so like, as as somebody who, like, I'm a recovering type A, I've said that a lot in this group before, and I really thrive in like the high energy kind of area. I don't need caffeine. Like, I'm just always up there.
Yep.
And sometimes, when you're at that level, a lot of good things flow. But you're right. Like, it's really kind of getting down, like slowing down. What is the brain waves? It's like the beta is like the really high performing, and it's the high beta that's the anxiety, and then really slowing down the brain waves and getting into, is it the delta?
Delta's deep sleep, or like very deep sleep. Most people wouldn't be able to get into meditation. It goes beta. Alpha is like relaxed, like you're studying, you're learning, but you're not extremely turned on or engaged. And then theta is where you're meditating, deeply meditating. And then delta is sleeping. Then gamma is like another one we don't really go into, but they say like professional or Olympic athletes are in gamma often because you're so in the zone and your mind is actually going so fast that you're just in tune with the universe. That's when you're like in the zone. So like when you're turned on and taking inspired action, you might be in gamma. When I'm teaching a spin class, I am fully engaged. I'm on, but I'm not like thinking. I'm just there.
Yeah.
So,
ooh, gamma. Yeah. That's
where it's at. Yeah.
That was the gamma. But yeah, like I feel you, like in my own experience, getting into that meditative state, getting in a place, and I'm working a lot with like chakras right now as well, and the different energy centers, and getting into that place where we can open our heart, and using that as the portal that allows a lot of that kind of inner wisdom to flow through. And it's just also, it's so different from that really high energy, intense place, but it's definitely the place to come to let all the dust settle and open ourselves up to receiving what we need to hear. But I would love to like hear from you, because you talked about like meditation and getting still, but then from that place, using our conscious mind to, think of things we're grateful for and use our affirmations. So, I mean, would you suggest starting in a place of stillness and then kind of reaching for those thoughts, or like, what's your meditative process?
Yeah. So what usually happens for me, so I'll start with, just in case anyone doesn't meditate, I would say start with 5 minutes a day. You can be seated or laying down, as long as your spine is straight. So all of your energy centers, your chakras are aligned. Just set a timer and trace your breath in, out, mentally, to just like ease into just quieting the mind, because the mind's like, I know what's going on here. I don't want to do this. But from there, now my meditations are at least 20 minutes. Usually if I haven't been able to do like a good 20-minute one every day, I'll do 45 minutes or an hour, which I know seems like a lot, but it takes for me, because I'm so up there too and go, it takes at least a good 15 minutes for me to actually kind of get down into like the chilling, allowing state. And then for about 20 minutes, I'm kind of just there, but not actively thinking. And then at the end, when I kind of feel myself starting to come back, that's when I usually start to think thoughts. And to be honest, sometimes I'm consciously thinking them. I'm thinking I'm abundant, I'm a TEDx speaker, I'm a podcaster, I am this, I am that. But sometimes, once in a while, I'll get a vision of something. And then I'm like, ooh, I'm a spin instructor. Like I'll get this vision. I'm like, okay, cool. Because then you're just working with the universe. So I would say if you're just starting, do your meditation. And then when you come out, when you're feeling really good and really clean, that's when you do your affirmations, because you won't really have much resistance, because you're not up here where the ego is. You're kind of down here. So then you do those. Then you say, I am this, I am that, I'm grateful for. Gratitude is the highest vibration that we can resonate at. And we're magnets. So if you're just constantly saying things you're grateful for, more and more things that are going to cause you gratitude are just going to keep flowing in. And then you start to believe it too, right? Like in the beginning, it's kind of like, I am this, I am that. And you're like, all right, yeah, I am. And then eventually you're like, I am. And then you are. Like, and it's, again, I know it sounds light and I'm making it sound light, but it took about a year for the affirmations I was doing and the meditations I was doing to start to come to fruition. And these things were starting to happen. And the time is going to pass either way. And the time's going to be different for everyone, but just, it's worth it, just doing those things every single day. And even if you're not, if you don't want to journal and if that's not for you, on your way to work, be like, wow, I'm really grateful that I'm in a car and that I got to eat this morning and I have clothes. 3 things really quickly, doesn't have to be like a long thing. So yeah.
And I love how you mentioned that appreciation is the highest vibration. I heard something the other day that really resonated with me. And that is that, our thoughts are what we use to launch our desires, but it's our heart and being in that vibration of appreciation and thankfulness that draws it like a magnet into us. So it's the connection of the two that is really the powerhouse in consciously creating our reality.
Yes, totally. Absolutely.
And I should mention, for those of you that are newer to meditation, Casey does have a free meditation course online. So I can link to that in the comments and on the podcast in the show notes as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, let's move into number 2. So the second energetic shift.
Okay. Number 2 is do something every day that scares you. Do something every day that scares you. So for me, because I tended to be very anxious, when I first started finding out about alignment, I took it way too literally. I was like, okay, if it is not really, really fun, and if my mind is not on board, and if everything isn't perfect, I'm not doing it. But what I quickly realized is that, again, our mind's job is to keep us safe, which sometimes inadvertently keeps us from doing what we want to be doing really. So for example, I'll just keep using this. I'm becoming a spin instructor right now. Did it feel so delicious and inspiring and aligning to my soul to be a spin instructor? Yes, I knew it viscerally that this felt fun. Did my mind say, you're not enough, this is going to be hard, you can't physically do this? Of course it did, because that's its job. So when we can become friends with the fear, friends with the ego by taking these little steps every day, then taking the bigger steps to become who we really want to be towards that blissful alignment will be that much easier. So maybe you go to a coffee shop and you turn to the person behind you and you say, hey, could I maybe buy your coffee? That's scary for someone like me because I can be socially anxious and be like, what are they going to think? Are they going to think I'm weird? It is so worth it. That person's day is made. You feel something inside because there's something on the other side of fear that propels you into a whole new version of yourself. Because when you think about your soul and who you are, fear's not real, right? Like that is just a human response. So just doing little things every day. Maybe you haven't gone to the gym in 10 years and you want to go, and it's going to be really scary to go to a new gym, but you go every single day. This is really funny, Megan, you probably saw this. My biggest fear since I was a very little girl was birds. I would have panic attacks on the beach if there were seagulls. I was horrified. I would cry. And a month ago, I held a chicken, which
I saw that on your Insta stories.
For anyone who doesn't know me really well, they're probably like, okay, cool, whatever. But that is something that it took so much work to build up to. When I was holding it, my girlfriend turned around, didn't know what was happening. It was like, what's going on? She was shocked because it was the biggest fear for me. But because I had been practicing these little things, I could face this bigger fear. And just doing something every day to make you comfortable with fear so that taking those steps toward alignment, even though your mind might be uncomfortable, is so crucial.
Yeah, it reminds me of the saying, all your dreams exist outside of your comfort zone, because I think we are just so conditioned to stay safe. Our ego likes to keep us safe, but it's just, what you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. There's just so much outside of our reality that is waiting for us. And when we can do new things and get out of our comfort zone, we have those new experiences. We meet these new people that bring in new possibilities for us. And it's kind of like the levels of a video game. Like our reality is one level, and then, we do something, we meet somebody, we learn a new piece of information, and now we can see and access all these new possibilities. And I feel like that is our job in our life, to put ourselves out there and gather this information and gather this knowledge and just evolve ourselves. And we can't evolve ourselves without doing things that scare the shit out of us.
Yes. Bam. Amen. Totally.
That's a good reminder for me too, because I often, I love to challenge myself, but I think we do get complacent sometimes. Like it's very easy to just default to our habits and our rituals. And like you said before, 90% of the thoughts that we think are thoughts that we thought the day before. So, it's going to continue that way if we're not giving ourselves new environments to create any new thoughts and experiences with. So I think that sometimes it can be hard. There can be the fear aspect involved when we step out there and do new things, but I think there's also just like a complacency because we are so comfortable in our own little bubbles. But a good reminder for everybody listening, like, what is one thing that you can do today that scares you to get out of your comfort zone? And I'd love to challenge the Clouds and Dirt community and everybody listening to this to make it a priority this week to really choose one thing. And I'd love it if you shared it with me, either on Instagram or Facebook. Let me know what you're doing that scares the shit out of you. But just great reminder for myself too. And I'm going to make it a priority again as well.
Yes, totally. Love it.
All right, let's move on to the third energetic shift.
Okay. So in terms of, now we talked about that it might be uncomfortable, but also it should be fun. So the third thing is do things that you are enthusiastic about. So something that I love, I forget when I read this somewhere, but if you go to the origin of the word enthusiasm, it's from a Greek word, and it comes down to entheos, which means inspired by God or possessed by God, or another definition or origin is from God within. So when you think about that, when you break that down, when you are enthusiastic about something, it's because God is channeling through you. So we don't love certain things for no reason. You and I don't love talking to people just because. I don't love working out just because. I don't love this or that or the other thing just because. Those are all things that source, that the divine, that God, whatever you want to call it, is lightly pushing us towards. And we're supposed to love what we do. And again, maybe it will be hard. Like we said, it might be scary, but you're supposed to love it, and you're supposed to be enthusiastic about what you do. So the third thing is definitely do things that you're enthusiastic about. It's just do things that make you feel like a kid, that you get lost in, that you get in the zone in, that you get into gamma in.
And like, I can totally, relate to that. And, that makes sense when we're talking about, a creative project or, maybe booking a holiday somewhere. But can you speak to like really impulsive decisions? Like, cause I have very strong impulses, and I've like sold houses and sold all my stuff and moved across the world on like an impulse before. And it did turn out all right in the end, thank goodness. But, I've made other impulsive decisions in my life that have backfired a bit as well. So what is the difference between like following something that feels good or following this inspiration and following an impulse?
Well, I think that it's so funny. It's you kind of have to check in with yourself. And I'm not one to be very impulsive because I'm just one of those people that weighs out every option to a fault. I'm like, will this work? Will this not work? Pros and cons and all of that stuff. But I think you just have to, this is the time where meditation in real time comes in. You just take a second. Is this what I want? And you will truly know. I mean, I just moved across the country. I got rid of most of my stuff. My girlfriend and I packed up our car and went. And was it the scariest thing I've ever done? Absolutely. But did I know? Deeper knowing than like in my mind, I knew that I had to do this. So it's practice, honestly. Following your intuition is kind of like flexing a muscle. Like you have to keep doing it. And then you just keep making decisions from your intuition and from your spirit rather than up here. The mind is great. Of course, it helps us to think and discern and create and all these different things, but we can also just start to practice following our gut, and then you'll know. But also it's one of those things where if it's something that's feeling like it's calling you, and you do need to be like, what's the worst case scenario? Ego or not, what's the worst case scenario? Will anyone get hurt? Will I get hurt? No. Okay, let's do it. Like, so just checking in with yourself. If you're unsure, then just take a second to clear your mind and just kind of check how it feels in your body. That would be a really good way to do it, I would say.
Yeah, that is like a great piece of advice. You're right, because anything can sound good when you're up in those like, crazy energy all in your head, like that kind of momentum. Anything can feel good. And sometimes taking action on those thoughts, it's maybe good to take a little breath and tune in and check in and maybe wait a little bit. So meditation, it all goes back to meditation. If I
Always
meditate,
yeah,
meditate, don't meditate. Like you can never go wrong with turning to meditation.
Ever. Yeah, truly.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
And I have another question about alignment. Like you speak about alignment and as like a connection to, your inner self, your soul, your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What about having like a strong vision about your future? Is it important to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, become in the alignment process? Or is it enough to align with like just a feeling or a deep inner sense of self?
I personally have come to find through some of actually the teachings that I've been reading a lot lately, and some of the teachers I've been listening to a lot lately, is having a clear sense of how you want to feel, like you said, knowing the end goal, and then kind of allowing everything else in between to be up to how it's going to be. So if you know that, all right, for example, I want to be a public speaker one day who meets Eckhart Tolle before he dies. I know that. And I have that intention. I know that intention every day. And when your brain knows an intention you have, it will by default help you take actions towards that. But that's an aside. But so as long as you have something in your GPS, the universe can always reroute you. So as long as you know what you're doing and taking some kind of action, even just getting out into the world by going and sitting at a coffee shop, then you will be fine. So I would say non-attachment to how it happens, but knowing that you want it to happen. And then, so for example, one time I was meditating and then clearly this vision popped into my head of me on stage, and I could feel the microphone in my hand and I could see people out in front of me. And that feeling, that will get me to being that person, not me sitting down and saying, okay, so I'm going to micromanage everything I'm doing. So tomorrow I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do that, because everything's always changing, like being present is far more important than micromanaging and missing all of this stuff that could be going on. Because when you have a plan all the time, what if your intuition is calling you to this? So you have a plan for your day, but for some reason you get this weird intuitive hit to go get an ice cream. I don't know. When you're at that ice cream shop, you bump into this person who just started their business and they need a new online marketer, and then you become friends, and then this catapults you to becoming a podcast host or what have you. Like it can send you down this whole rabbit hole. So long-winded answer short, I think that knowing how you want to feel, knowing what you want to do, and honestly, the most important thing for me lately is knowing how I want to serve, or that I want to serve. So for a while when I learned about manifestation, I was saying, ooh, what do I want? How do I want my life to be? The moment I started saying, how can I serve? Bam. I would hear things. I would get inspired action. It was so much more clear to me, because then it's so much less about the physical manifestations that we all think will make us feel a certain way. And it becomes about who you want to be as a human. Where can I go? Who can I help? Who can I buy a coffee for today? What can I tell people on Instagram that's helping me today? And that will get you from A to B so quickly, because you're just focused on serving rather than physical.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the self-imposed pressures, I think, that we put on ourselves when we can shift from the need to like do or create to the need to serve, which I think is really the vibration of being instead of doing. So the place of surrendering and being in the present moment, and allowing those opportunities where you can serve to show up. But this also kind of made me think of the book Think and Grow Rich. So have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I started to read it and I really liked it, but then I stopped reading it because I was kind of like, I was torn. It was like two sides of me that were like, okay, I've read half of it.
I know what you mean by that. It's hard. A lot of those books I find, I think the premise of Think and Grow Rich is really great, but then when you're totally embracing like the effort, the vibration of allowing and ease, it's hard to sometimes take on information that's telling you that like efforting and action needs to be done in order to get something. But what I like about that book is he talks about having like one chief aim. So you said, you know, interviewing Eckhart Tolle or whatever, but just having that like clear intention statement of a time in the future, like making it quite specific, like by this date, I want to do this thing and this is how it's going to feel and this is what I'm going to do to get there. So having that clarity, having that vision, and then totally just freaking letting go, surrendering and allowing. And like you said, using your internal guidance system, so your emotions, to guide you on the path of least resistance to get there. And I think where we all get hung up, and this is, you know, so common for people who are manifesting and consciously creating a reality, is the how. It's very hard to have these, you know, these great visions of our life and for ourselves, and to just surrender it all and know that that's enough, because we're so conditioned in society to think that we need to do in order to receive and achieve.
And I love, so I'll tell the story about my spin instructing, how it came to be, but it also goes along with what you were saying to me before, that the mantra you love right now is, it is already done. So if you truly believe that, because it is so, then you would continue to just do things that felt inspired and fun. You wouldn't feel the need or the should to do things. So for example, when I lived in Boston a few years ago, I was an avid Soul Cyclist. It's the spin instructor. It's a spin class. And I always thought to myself, I would love to be a spin instructor. I think I could do it. It would be fun. I'm a yoga teacher now, but I have so much energy that I think I would prefer to do that. But it never felt right, so I let it go. Completely let it go. But I had set that intention, that want, that desire. Fast forward a year and a half, 2 years, and I am flowed to work at Orange Theory, which is a gym. And I was like, I don't know why, but this feels fun. So I start working the front desk, nothing serious. It just felt right. And one day, one of the coaches was like, talking to one of the clients, and was like, yeah, we need some new cycle bar instructors, spin instructors. And I was like, wait, can I audition? Can I make this happen? Fast forward to now, and my audition was the other day. If I had tried to figure out and forcefully take action to how I would become a spin instructor, it might not have worked out. It might not have been fun. It might not have been fluid, right? But because I knew, I thought that would be fun. That would be great. I would have really loved that. And then I let it go, and I didn't have a timeline or like an exact need or an attachment. Bam, it truly fell into my lap and then happened in 2 months. So it's just a good example of how that can,
it's easy and it's as complicated as that, right?
Could not agree more.
Great example of how easy it can be.
Yeah.
That intention, and then we totally just drop it and flow with what's delivered to us. So yeah.
Totally. Yes.
Good example. Awesome. Well, we might leave it there. We're already at 40 minutes here, and this has been an amazing conversation. But I want to make sure that people can find you. As I mentioned before, Casey has an awesome podcast where she kind of just muses and talks about all the things kind of going on. It's called I Can't Wait to Tell You. She's got a meditation course that is available for free. So there is no excuse if you're one of those people that are like, my mind is too busy or I just can't meditate. This is for you, this course. So
yes.
Maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about your podcast, your course, and where people can find you?
Yeah. So my podcast is just everything on the law of attraction. I get a little bit into the quantum physics and the science behind everything energy. If you're like me and you need to know that things actually work and how they work. And then the meditation course is free. As they say, if you have time to meditate, you should be meditating for 20 minutes a day. If you don't, you should be meditating for an hour a day. Which I love. But also on my course website, there's also the Manifesting Your Dreams course that I launched. So that's all about quantum and how the mind works and how our beliefs and our perceptions perpetuate our reality and how to manifest. And then I also do one-on-one coaching. I am the most prevalent on Instagram. I'm on there quite a lot. My name is at KCCASCY_Edward. And my website is just CaseyEdward.com. And everything is on both of those.
Yeah. And Casey is really fun to follow on Instagram stories. She's pretty much just, tells it like it is, like, the warts and all. And it's always you just in your alignment. And I love it. I love it. So every time I tune into Casey and she's just like hiking in nature or like just chilling out and having fun, it's just such a great reminder that I don't need to like be caught in the vibration of having to do stuff in order to do what I want. I can just chill out in nature, and it's just always such a positive reminder every time I check in with you. So thank you so much for showing up and serving the way you do in this world. And thank you again for taking the time to reach out and talk to us in the Clouds and Dirt and Consciousness Collective community. Once again, I'm going to put all of your links in the show notes and on the Facebook chat as well. And thank you everybody for tuning in with us today. Have a great day.
Okay.